A desert planet with twin suns.
Why do I sense we've picked up another pathetic life form?
Use my knowledge. Much to learn. You still have.
Welcome back to Twin Sun Talks, Regs. I'm your host, Jonah Liu. Thank you so much for listening. I can't wait to talk at y'all today. Today we're going to be going through galactic regions as well as some major planets that you should know when looking into the Star Wars franchise. So, without further ado, let's just hop right into some ARC Trooper training.
Gentlemen, who wants to be an ARC Trooper?
I do, sir!
Welcome back to ARC Trooper training, folks. So, like I said, today we're going to be talking about galactic regions as well as major planets within the Star Wars universe. And so, first thing that I want to kind of clear up is that the galaxy is split into several major sections, and I'm going to be going into the more general regions of the galaxy rather than specifics from like legends and stuff like that, where they have like the slice and the southern rim and the stuff like that. I'm not going to be going into that. I'm just going to be going into the more general stuff like outer rim, inner rim, all that stuff. And my source for all of this is, once again, the Star Wars book. I've mentioned this in a few of my other episodes. It's a fantastic source book that I use a lot, and it is canon. So that's super, super useful when figuring out what stuff is relevant within the existing and soon-to-be-coming Star Wars content. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the fact that, obviously, this franchise does occur a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And according to the Star Wars book, the galaxy houses an estimated 3.2... well, I didn't write down the unit, so 1 second. 3.2 million habitable star systems. I didn't put a million, billion. I just put 3.2. I think it's more than 3.2 habitable systems. But yes, 3.2 million habitable star systems within the Star Wars galaxy. And the regions of the galaxy are very basically the core, the inner rim, the colonies, the expansion region, the mid-rim, the outer rim, the unknown regions, and then wild space. And so I'm just going to be going into each of those very basically and giving a couple of bullet point key worlds within those regions. So the core is the very center of the galaxy, and it's made up of the most, or for the most part, the most wealthy worlds of the galaxy due to a heavy intersection of hyperspace routes, which, if you're not aware, hyperspace was kind of light speed travel that many ships used to travel between systems that were very far apart. And so these are kind of like ocean ports almost, and kind of big hubs for trade. Like if you think of back in colonial times, civilizations really were heavily settled along coastal regions because it was very easy to access them from far away regions of the world. So it's kind of a similar idea with the core being kind of an intersection point from many hyperspace. And so planets of the core include Coruscant, Corellia, and Alderaan. Coruscant being the city world that we see in the prequels. It's kind of the capital of the Republic at the time of the Clone Wars, and the capital of the Republic far before that as well. Corellia being Han Solo's homeworld, a very wealthy shipbuilding world, and Alderaan being Princess Leia's homeworld that gets, spoiler alert, destroyed by the Death Star in Episode 4. For the most part, very peaceful, very well known for its diplomats and stuff like that. Moving on to the inner rim and the colonies, they were largely colonized by the core worlds and enjoy relative security and prosperity due to their proximity to the core worlds. Worlds in the inner rim and the colonies include Caeda Nemoidia, which is kind of the home base for the Trade Federation, and homeworld of the Nemoidians, such as Nute Gunray. There's also Onderon, which was Saw Gerrera's homeworld, very war-torn, but also relatively prosperous. And then Jakku, which was where we find Rey in the sequel trilogy. It's the desert world, where a major battle took place near the end of the Galactic Civil War that took place during the original trilogy. Moving into the expansion region before the mid-rim. The expansion region was filled with worlds that were continuing to be colonized by the core and the inner rim. Worlds included Jeddah, and there's not much else about the expansion region within this book. That's really all. But Jeddah is where the Jedi Temple and the Kyber crystals were located. We go there in Rogue One. That's where Saw Gerrera is hiding out. That's where we first see the Death Star being utilized. It didn't blow up the planet, but it blew up the city. The Mid-Rim, once considered to be out of the way by the core worlds, but they eventually became extremely significant as hyperspace lanes expanded, and they became significant battlegrounds during the latter days of the Clone Wars, and worlds within the Mid-Rim include Naboo, Kashyyyk, and Ord Mantell. And if you recognize the name Ord Mantell and you're watching The Bad Batch, that's because that's where the Bad Batch is located. That's where they find Sid, and that's kind of their home base for most of the series so far. Moving on to the Outer Rim. This is going to have the most dense amount of information, just because it's the largest region, so there's the most information about it. But it is the Outer Rim is known as a relatively lawless, sparsely populated, and primitive region of the galaxy, and it's far from the oversight of the central governments of the galaxy because they were largely located within the core and kind of more inner rim type worlds. And this is largely, and a lot of this like lack of proximity was the cause for intragalactic conflict, and that's largely due to the neglect of the Outer Rim by the central governments, as well as an unwillingness to conform to central authority by many of the fringe systems within the Outer Rim. So it kind of was a double-edged sword there. And there are a lot of worlds to note in here, so I'm just going to rapid fire, and I'll give a brief explanation for all of them. So Tatooine, obviously, it's the desert planet. It's kind of where it all starts. That's where Anakin was born. That's where we find Luke in Episode 4. Moorban/Korriban. I went over this in my Sith breakdown, and that's the ancient homeworld of the Sith. It used to be called Korriban in Legends, and now they changed it to Moorban in canon because Korriban sounded too much like Coruscant. Geonosis, which is where we see the Geonosian Arena in Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. It's with the Geonosians. It's also a desert world. Mandalore, homeworld of the Mandalorians. Bespin, Cloud City. That's where Luke and Vader fight in Episode 5. Hoth, that's where Episode 5 starts. It's the ice world. Endor, that's where we find the Ewoks. It's the forest moon of Endor is where we find the Ewoks in Episode 6. Dagobah is where we find Yoda in Episode 5, the Swamp World. Kessel is where the Kessel Run is in close proximity to. It's a mining world where we go in Solo, a Star Wars story, and then Mustafar, obviously, where the iconic duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan happens in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So that's about all I have for the Outer Rim, but I bet I could go into a lot more detail, and if y'all want me to, I am happy to do that in a later episode. The Unknown Regions. One thing that caused a lot of the Inner Rim folks to not want to interact with the Outer Rim much was because it was very kind of rudimentarily explored and mapped. Well, the Unknown Regions was even more rudimentarily mapped and explored. It produced many legends, particularly of spacefaring monsters. And there were lots of hazards, such as electrical superstorms and unmapped nebulae that make travel in this region dangerous and very unpredictable. And planets that are in this region include Exegol, which is where we find Palpatine in Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. And lastly, we have Wild Space, which is, for the most part, completely unmapped and largely unexplored. And it lies on the furthest outskirts of the galaxy. It's kind of like just outside the galaxy or just on the fringes of the galaxy. And the book says that to venture here is unnecessary at best and suicidal at worst. So we don't have any real knowledge of what's going on out there at all. And we don't have any known planets out there either. It's what it sounds like. It's wild space. So that was really quick, but that's about all I have for this ARC Trooper training. It's pretty interesting, but I didn't want to overwhelm y'all with too much information. But it's something that I honestly don't know too much about, but I find the kind of topography, if you will, of the galaxy to be rather interesting, especially because you don't really get to see a map of the galaxy ever. So I like being able to kind of have a mental picture of where these planets are with respect to each other, and so I just wanted to share that with y'all real fast. So before we go, I'd like to jump into our first ever segment of incoming transmissions.
Is Star Wars the one with the little wizard boy?
Alrighty, so welcome to our first ever segment of incoming transmissions. So what this is going to be is essentially just a mailbag segment where I take y'all's questions or comments or anything like that, and I'm going to essentially just respond to them in this segment. It's not going to be in every episode, but I'm going to do this maybe once or twice a month, depending on how often I get replies from y'all. But if y'all do want to email me, then our email is twinsuntalks@gmail.com. And then you can DM me on Instagram, comment on our YouTube videos. Any of that is just fine, and I will try to answer as many of these as I can. So we got 3 questions today, or 1 correction, 3 questions. So we have a correction from John Grimes, and he says that orange, cyan, magenta, and indigo were all canonized as lightsaber colors by Jedi Fallen Order with no specific explanation for their significance, which is completely true. And I haven't played Jedi Fallen Order, so I appreciate you pointing this out, John. But yeah, I tried to just kind of focus on the ones that have canonized explanations, but it is super interesting that Jedi Fallen Order did in fact canonize these as possibilities possibilities for lightsaber colors within the Star Wars universe, and I really hope that we get some canon explanations for the significance of those colors in future content. So yes, thank you, John, for that. Other than that, Jake Croft wants to know if Count Dooku used to be a good guy, and the answer would be yes, from a certain point of view. At least he used to be a Jedi. He was actually a member of the Jedi Council for a time, and he was a very respected and esteemed Jedi within the Jedi Order. He was considered one of the best duelists, and he was a very outspoken diplomat and was very involved in galactic politics and did not agree with most of what went on within the Republic Senate. So, and that's a big reason of why he actually left the Jedi Order and eventually but he didn't leave right and become a Sith right away, become Count Dooku as we know him right away. He left to actually become the Count of his homeworld of Sereno. And if y'all want to learn more about Count Dooku, I would highly recommend reading or listening to a audiobook called Dooku Jedi Lost, which is a fantastic audiobook. It's on Audible. I absolutely love it. It has a full cast of characters, so that means that there are different voices for every character. It's not just one person reading the entire time. There are sound effects, music, which most Star Wars books have, which make them super immersive and super amazing. I would highly recommend them. But Dooku Jedi Lost is a fantastic audiobook, and I would highly, highly recommend it. But thank you for that question, Jake. Yeah, Dooku did in fact used to be a good guy, assuming that you considered Jedi to be good guys. And then finally, his brother, Jake's brother, Cole Croft, wants to know the name of the guy who uses 4 lightsabers, because he forgot what his name was. And that guy's name is General Grievous, and he is really, really awesome, Cole. I like him a lot. Grievous was a Kaleesh cyborg who worked for Count Dooku and the Confederacy of Independent Systems, also known as the Separatists, and he was in command of the legions of droid armies that were under the Separatists' control, and he was notorious for killing Jedi and collecting their lightsabers as trophies. And so we get to see him for the first time on screen in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, my favorite movie, and we get a lot of great content with him in the Clone Wars, and hope that we get to see more stuff with him moving forward, maybe in a spin-off series about Grievous. But who knows? I would want that. I don't know if other people would, but I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, so Cole, the guy with 4 lightsabers, his name is General Grievous, and he is awesome. So I hope that all of these answers to these questions were super helpful for y'all, Cole and Jake, and I appreciate y'all writing in. So yeah, if any of y'all have questions for me or comments or compliments or anything that you'd like to throw my way, go ahead and either email us. All of our contact information and social media information is on our website under the contact tab, and our website is twinsuntalks.wixsite.com/twin-sun. So yeah, if y'all have anything, feel free to reach out. I would love to answer any questions that y'all have. So that's all I have for incoming transmissions, and this wouldn't be a proper episode if I didn't leave y'all with a little bit more. Alrighty, so what I got for y'all today is trying to stay on theme with kind of the galactic, I don't even know if I think it's not astrology or geography. I don't know what to call it. I'm just going to keep calling it topography. So galactic topography. At the end of Empire Strikes Back, the rebellion is facing a large cluster of stars, and canonically that is actually the Star Wars galaxy itself. So at the very end of the movie, there's a shot with Luke and Leia looking out of a starship window, and you see what seems to be a giant cluster of stars, and that's actually the Star Wars galaxy itself. So they're all the way out in wild space looking at the Star Wars galaxy itself. So that's actually, or not actually, that's just a super cool thing that I wanted to share with y'all, and I thought that this was a fitting episode to share that with y'all in. So that's all I have for y'all today. This is a fairly short episode, but I wanted to keep it brief. I feel like I've thrown a lot of really long episodes at y'all recently, so I wanted to keep this short and sweet. I really hope that y'all enjoyed it. If y'all want me to go more in depth about any of this stuff moving forward, just let me know. Either email me or DM me or comment on my Instagram posts or comment on my YouTube or any of that stuff. I am happy to go into whatever y'all want me to go into. But yeah, that's about all I have. You've taken your first steps into a larger world. May the Force be with you, and I will see y'all in the next episode. Bye, friends.